Professional wrestling is the one true sport. Other sports have their share of intense, dramatic moments, but nothing can compare with professional wrestling. Welcome to Wrestling History X, where three friends come together to talk about the stories behind the matches. I'm Matt.
I've got the guts of a skeleton.
And I am an international incident.
Welcome to episode 211, In Your House 9, International Incident.
2 hours of hard-hitting,
High-flying,
heart-stopping
pile-driving
action.
It's at least a good tagline.
Something like that.
You got the heart-stopping. We're in Canada.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah, it's better than a lot we've seen.
Yeah, better than the debut of Hulk.
Yeah, no shit.
Canada, eh?
Canada.
Hey.
So this was the 9th In Your House, produced by the WWF. It would take place on July 21st, 1996, from the General Motors place in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, with an attendance of 14,804 people.
How about that?
I mean, shit. Dan would be Ron Simmons. He's not here yet. God damn.
We got, I guess, Mankind's there, you know. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
No, Canada's alive and thriving with 14,000 people. Almost 15.
Almost.
Not bad at all.
But we are in Canada.
Yeah, we are.
So Shane, did you do what you do?
Did I ever? So yeah, here we are. We're in Canada, and our show, known as the International Incident, somewhat inspired. But then as I started doing my little research on Canada and British Columbia and Vancouver in general, I found out a different international incident. So, long story short, for Canada, I brought sushi.
That
Why
makes
sushi?
total sense.
Yeah. Why sushi? Everybody might be asking. Because, you know, it's international. There's no country where you can go to and can't find sushi, I'm sure. No nation, I should say.
It'd probably be tough in, Afghanistan.
They've got rice.
They definitely have rice.
Roll it up with something inside or on the outside. Yeah, so I brought sushi. The reason for it is, as I was looking through what's popular, what was created, what do I need to try while in Vancouver, I discovered that British Columbia has their own kind of, almost said seafood, sushi roll, known as the BC roll, which stands for British Columbia. Typically, it includes cucumber, some type of salmon, either barbecued or salmon skin, obviously white rice. Sometimes they'll throw in cream cheese or avocado or something just to dress it up. But then as I was looking even further, I found out that Vancouver was one of the first places in North America when sushi started becoming a popular thing. One of the places that it was starting up in was Vancouver. And a extremely popular roll here in America was actually created in Vancouver. So I brought a sushi variety. The roll created in Vancouver that is popular in America is the California roll.
I feel so betrayed.
Right? Makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the CA.
It depends on which story you believe. Some places say that it was started in Little Tokyo in LA. Other places or other stories say that it got its start in Vancouver, and that's the one I'm willing to believe.
That's the one we believe in this week.
That's right.
Yeah, it is. I feel the same way I felt, or similar to the way I felt when I found out that Creedence Clearwater Revival was from San Francisco.
Yeah.
So betrayed.
Or when
they should be from Louisiana. Like, what are we talking about?
Boston was from Chicago, and Chicago was from
that brain-bending moment
Just
when Kentucky Fried Chicken uses Sweet Home Alabama as their commercial theme song.
I mean, it's an undeniable hit that I never want to hear again.
Yeah. But yeah, we the story that I found says that a chef named, butcher this, Hidekazu Tojo from Canada claims to have started the version of sushi in which the rice is on the outside of the roll. He claims also, in addition to cucumber, cooked crab, avocado, which can be seen as support for his claim, since those are the current ingredients in a California roll. So there may have been a version of a California roll in California, but it was not done this style with the rice on the outside.
Oh.
So
it could be linear thinking, and it was like, okay, well, we're doing rice on the outside.
Mm-hmm. For us, I went to a place here in Oklahoma City called the Sushi Bar. Fortunately, it's difficult to find a BC roll at any sushi restaurant that I looked at in Oklahoma City, so I found a close substitute since they talked about the love of barbecued salmon and salmon skin and that kind of stuff. I went for what the Sushi Bar offered, called the Salmonator. It
was interesting.
Yeah,
it was.
I really liked the textures, the taste, the smokiness. It is crispy salmon skin, avocado, cream cheese, bonito flakes, topped with crab stick, smoked salmon, bacon bits, lemon zest, scallions, masago, sweet sauce, and a spicy mayo and sriracha.
Whole kitchen sink.
Yeah, it's absolutely. It very it feels. It doesn't taste like sushi. It tastes like an appetizer.
Yes.
But it doesn't even taste like a Japanese appetizer because it's so savory.
This has a very American oaky appeal to it with the
bacon,
the saltiness, the
really
smokiness, the baconness. But yeah, I really dug it. The textures in it were awesome.
I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah, totally.
I did not hate it by any means. It's just a very interesting combination of flavors and textures that.
Yeah, it almost kind of bites back at you in a way.
Great appetizer, but doesn't even taste like sushi.
Yeah, this would be one of those
it's like the loaded nachos of sushi.
Right? I typically, when I go out for sushi, I'll ask for a chef's creation just because I want to see what the chef can actually do outside of the menu. And this tastes like something that I would get in return that wouldn't normally be found on the menu.
Yeah.
I also got, obviously, a California roll because I had to have a Cali roll to represent Canada. But then they also had a Baja California roll.
Had French fries.
Which was kind of the same.
I'm kidding.
Same ingredients of crab, cucumber, avocado. Both were topped with masago. But then the Baja roll also has a spicy mayo and a wasabi mayo on top of it.
Yeah, it was probably my favorite of the three because I like a California roll. It's fine, but that one was just dressed up a little bit more.
And I'm wondering now, just because of all the textures that are in this little salmon
you're gonna get
thing,
a crunch.
I'm very curious. So yeah, let's see if we can make sushi crunch on a microphone. Hello.
Oh yeah, that's disgusting. Truly filthy.
It's been a while since we've had the old ASMR.
It made the little lines on the screen, so
yeah. It picked up. I mean, I heard it over here.
It is delicious.
Yeah, I like the skin, salmon skin thing, but the bacon I think might have just put it over the edge.
Unagi, salmon skin roll.
Well, something that would happen right around the same time as this show. The 1996 Summer Olympics would begin in Atlanta the same weekend, where we would see Muhammad Ali light the flame during the opening ceremonies, Carrie Strug vault into history on an injured ankle to win the first women's team gymnastics gold medal in U.S. history, but was marred by a pipe bomb going off in the Olympic Park.
Yeesh. I remember the opening ceremony. I remember watching it because of the Muhammad Ali thing. It seemed like he'd been gone for a long time, and he comes out and did he have Parkinson's?
I believe so.
It was he was shaky, and it was a big enough deal that I feel like. I mean, it's the Olympics anyway, but it was Muhammad Ali, this guy that been gone for a long time, and not only is important to boxing and American sports, but he is also important to wrestling. Be it the Inoki match or the fact that he was a fan of Gorgeous George and pulled from wrestling. Like, he was an incredible fucking heel and talker. Better, maybe the best promo in the game. You know what I mean? But it's fun to see that from the outside. What year was it that the guy with the gold shoes?
Michael Johnson?
Michael Johnson. I almost said Michael Richards.
Believe
that's not the same guy.
I believe he was this year as well.
Okay, yeah, because that was another big memory of mine from this time period. The Kerry Strug thing is a little less memorable to me personally.
Yes, Michael Johnson won both the 200 and 400 meter event at this Olympics.
And as a kid who didn't know really anything about running or even sports in general, the fact that he wore gold shoes and only wore them once, I found fascinating. Yep. I was like, oh, he only wears them once? And it's like, well, yeah, duh. Like, this is, huge.
Yeah, so I remember watching the opening ceremonies for this one. I think this was the first time I had watched, or at least the first time I can remember watching the opening ceremonies.
Same
I
for
remember
me.
watching some of the Olympics as a kid because I remember watching Mary Lou Retton do her flip through the air or whatever back in the 80s. But yeah, Kerry Strug, God, I hated that girl.
Was she like the Tanya
Great.
Harding?
She's a great... No, she was just annoying as shit.
Oh, okay. So she wasn't like...
She had like this mouse voice. That
Okay. It wasn't like a class thing with like Tanya Harding. I know who you're talking about now.
And she was the one that, she got carried off by her trainer or whatever after she stuck the landing and...
Yeah, she had injured her foot doing, I can't remember exactly what, but she was like, I'm toughing it out for the team. And she went and ran and stuck the landing and...
burst into tears, and her coach came down, her trainer came down and swept her off her feet and carried her off, and then it was a pre-social media explosion.
I definitely...
And it was on every show, or, Saturday Night Live spoofed her. They had Chris Kattan be her brother kid.
That's right,
Chris Kattan is they look like the same person. Yeah. They look so
and
similar.
He had to mimic her voice. And
they have the same fucking face. That's crazy.
But yeah, Kerry Strug, God.
She's got a...
Like, I hated Nancy Kerrigan for different reasons, just because she got annoying for different reasons. But then Kerry Strug came along, and she just took it all.
What a striking looking person, and I don't necessarily mean that in the most positive way. I'm not gonna call this buff child ugly, but it is a unforgettable face. That's for sure.
Kerry, if you were listening, congrats.
Oh, yeah, much love to you.
Thanks for tuning in.
And of course, if you ever wanted to know any more about the pipe bomb incident, Clint Eastwood decided to make a movie about the security guard who found it.
I've been meaning
Jewell.
I've been meaning to watch Richard Jewell for a long time. I've heard that it was good.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything about the pipe bomb part of this story.
I never watched the movie. I remember Kathy Bates was in it. She plays his mom, I think. Wasn't Patton Oswalt or something like that played him?
No, it was the guy who he did. I think Richard Jewell came out first, maybe, or right after. But he did this movie, and then he was also one of the goons in the I, Tonya movie.
It was Paul Walter Hauser.
Okay.
Who played Jewell.
Okay.
And then he's one of the goons in the I, Tonya, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking of a different movie about the pipe bombing then.
Oh.
Because the Paul whatever just won like a Golden Globe for
Blackbird. That's what he won.
Okay.
He played a serial killer.
What the hell am I thinking? Patton Oswalt.
I've never even heard of Blackbird. Ratatouille. You're thinking of Ratatouille, Shane.
Easy mix-up there.
Blackbird was an Apple TV miniseries.
That's why nobody saw it.
Yeah. But it's developed by Dennis Lehane, so it might be actually pretty good.
I don't know who Dennis Lehane is.
Dennis Lehane wrote Mystic River, Shutter Island, Gone Baby Gone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's a screenwriter of note. Yes. All three of those movies made a splash. Love them or hate them.
Even if I dislike Shutter Island, as previously mentioned last week.
It was crazy. I haven't seen any of those movies.
Mr. Criver and Gone Baby Gone, I enjoy.
I've
Yes.
meant to watch Gone Baby Gone for a long time because I've
Both of those are
only heard
fantastic.
I've heard good things, and then people that are just they didn't dislike the movie; they were legitimately affected by it.
Yeah.
And Paul Walter Hauser has showed up on AEW in the last
Oh, really?
month and a half. I think Jarrett and Lethal stole his Golden Globe on one of the episodes and have been using it as an FO.
So yeah, maybe Lahane is in Tony Khan's ear.
We're tying it all together to wrestling, guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe Lahane is
in
writing some storylines.
Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's 96 Olympics. Big deal. Dream Team is 92.
92 is the first Dream Team.
Yeah.
But 96
I think
was
they still had a decent team.
the second. Yeah, I mean,
we are always going to have the best basketball team.
Actually 96 was Dream Team 3
Okay.
because 2 played at the FIBA World Championships, but it basically still had Barkley, Malone, Pippen, Stockton, and David Robinson. It just didn't have Jordan basically.
Fun stuff.
96. Something else was happening around this time too, though, wasn't it?
Well, it's happening probably when this episode releases.
Ah. Ladies and gentlemen, I would just like to say, happy birthday, Matt.
Oh,
Hey.
How many are you?
I'll be too many.
Too many?
I have a close family friend who, when she turned 40, she just started going backwards. That was her thing. She's like, oh no, going backwards. I saw her recently for the first.
Benjamin Button did it.
Yeah, for a while. I saw her for the first time in a while, and it'd been so long since that because that was when she was like 40, and she's more like in her 60s now. She had totally forgot about the backwards thing. It was very funny, and now she doesn't dye her hair. She's like, oh, I like my gray hair. I'm like, it looks good on you.
So Matt's turning 40, huh?
I'm over 40, under 50.
Well, yeah, we love you no matter your age.
Age redacted.
Let's get to the show where we see the WWF logo.
For over 50 years.
Followed by footage from the free-for-all that would happen before the show, where we see Jose Lothario confront Jim Cornette, almost coming to blows before Vader arrives. The Mastodon looks to attack Jose, but Shawn Michaels then appears to prevent that from happening, sliding into the ring and knocking over the podium that was set up. And we get the International Incident logo, which really felt like a news expose logo type thing.
Yeah. Beep, 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 beep.
And then Vince McMahon welcomes us to the show, along with Jerry the King Lawler and Jim Ross. And JR tells us that Corny offered a money-back guarantee that his team would win tonight.
Now that's what I call a guarantee.
Foreshadowing?
Might just be. But we head straight to our first match. The Smoking Guns of Bart and Billy Gunn with Sonny versus the BodyDonnas of Skip and Zip.
Aw, where's Cloudy?
Never seen again.
Duh.
And as the Guns enter, Vince speaks with the BodyDonnas in the back. And he notices that Cloudy isn't with them. And the Donnas say that Cloudy helped them realize that they don't need a manager. She must have been really bad at her job.
They say they just need the fans, and I'm like, guys, I love you. I think you're incredible workers, and you get it, but you don't even have the fans.
You need fans,
which is a problem, and I think you're deserving of fans. But maybe this isn't the right gimmick.
Skip also says that she was all about the mind games, and they can play those without her.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure they can.
And McMahon says this is a non-title match, as Sonny did not want to put the titles on the line. So I guess Sonny just can be like, yeah.
Nah, I mean, she's too hot to be a heel. It's just kind of an issue. You can't. They just too hard to hate, and so is the crowd for her.
Did anyone notice who the ref was for this match?
I did.
Who was it?
One Mr. Harvey Whippleman.
That is right. And we haven't seen him since SummerSlam 95, episode 163.
Mm-hmm. Whippleman, whose bastard son is a whip wreck. not true. Also, it's pretty easy to quote unquote hate Sonny now.
Yes, very much so.
Uh-huh.
So the match gets going as the Donnas attack Billy when he's not paying attention with a double back body drop, punches, and everyone is down. The Donnas attack Billy when he's not paying attention with a double back body drop, punches everyone down to send the Gunns out to regroup. Bart gets in to match up with Zip, chopping away, and he goes for a back body drop, only for Zip to leapfrog and do some chops of his own that are no-sold.
Vince McMahon lets us know that Jake will not be on the show because of multiple rib injuries. Quote, unquote.
But Lawler starts going in on him about drinking way too much.
I mean, yeah. And Vince McMahon is probably getting, the water in his head is coming to a simmer.
Yeah, what was it Lawler said? Jake experienced the wrath of grapes or something like that. Like,
yeah, my God.
beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, Jerry Lawler, undeniable.
The BodyDonnas control the match early on with takeovers, holds, and frequent tags, until Billy hits a famouser on Skip when he telegraphs a back body drop. Billy then charges into the corner, only for Skip to move to regain control of the match, when Sonny pretends to faint, causing Skip to want to go check on her, but she slaps him once he makes it over there.
That's Jezebel.
Mind games. Harlot.
And the distraction also allows the Gunns to hit double team clotheslines on Skip before Billy face plants him across the apron. Back in the ring, the Gunns whip Skip from corner to corner before a reversal allows Skip to head up top, where he comes off, only for Bart to catch him with the power slam. Now Bart sets up Skip across the ropes, bringing Billy in to leapfrog over him for a guillotine body press. But Billy just doesn't have the hops today, and the crowd lets him know about it. Bart and Billy argue for a moment, but continue to work over Skip in their corner using several ref distractions, until the BodyDonna is able to fight his way out by floating over a back body drop and rolling up Bart for a 2 count, followed by a second rope crossbody, only for the Gunn to retaliate with a clothesline. Billy then flies off the top rope with an axe handle, but Skip counters it into an atomic drop, allowing him to make the crawl to the corner for the hot tag. Zip cleans house with right hands, tosses Billy to the floor, but he's then tripped up running the ropes. Sonny's arguing with Skip from the floor, so Billy goes to rein her in, while Bart sets up Zip for the Sidewinder, but his partner is nowhere to be found.
Uh-oh.
Skip then leaps in off the top with a missile dropkick, allowing Zip to make the cover for the pin and the win.
I smell trouble in paradise.
It's so crazy that this is a perfect tag match, and it's just done so very well. But you can't force people to care about guys that you haven't made a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter the talent, which is a bummer because this is a classic looking tag match. They do everything right. The hot tag is a real hot tag. And it stinks that they didn't really put the time into either team.
Unfortunately, this match was just boring because you didn't care about any of the people in the ring.
Yeah, and it's a shame because technically it's fucking basically flawless.
Yeah.
And the only thing anybody cares about is Sonny.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We go to the back, and Mr. Perfect is there with Camp Cornette. And Jim says they are angry about what happened on the free-for-all, with Vader throwing trash cans before they show that clip again from the beginning of the show. Corny says that Jose pulled a switchblade on him and stated that Shawn won't have 14 of his friends to help him tonight. Cornette restates his money-back guarantee, begging his team to win because he doesn't want to be out $7 million.
He said $7 to $10 million, and I'm like, I mean, I know it's a large house, but that's a lot.
All of Canada's watching.
All of Canada's watching. All of Canada's watching.
Bulldog thinks this match is no place for a lady, so Diana will remain in the locker room, while Vader just makes weird faces behind them.
I guess it's better than Diana making weird faces behind him.
Hey, I'm pro Diana.
Owen then promises to knock out Sid with his cast, just like he did to Ahmed, followed by Corny saying, Vader is crazier than Sid. And that's pretty damn crazy.
Pretty crazy. I don't know that Vader ever stabbed anybody, but he definitely seemed like he was also a few fries short of a Happy Meal.
Vader missed no fries.
Vader definitely, yeah, he was carved up.
So we go to our second match. Mankind versus Henry O. Godwinn with Hillbilly Jim. And this is the match that Jake Roberts was supposed to be in versus Mankind, but as mentioned, his real life demons had reared their head. Mm-hmm. So this is what we got instead.
Yeah, it is, because it's like Mankind has just gotten himself over in the biggest of ways, and he can't even get a like true quality mid-carder because Jake's not there and the roster's kind of thin at the moment. So it's Henry O. Godwinn, and I'm like, what a disservice. And then I find out why, and it's pretty pretty obvious, but Mankind's still obviously 110% in it with his missing hair.
I mean, these guys have faced each other a few times over the years.
Yeah.
From Cactus Jack versus Tex Salinger back in the day. So
yeah,
they worked well together.
What is Henry O. Godwinn if he's not the comedy Tex Salinger?
So Foley jumps Hog from behind as he's doing a hog call, punching and biting him until Godwinn can respond with a power slam and a clothesline that sends Mankind out to the floor. Back in the ring, Foley goes back on the offensive, but Hog catches him with a spine buster to slow the momentum. Mankind then leaps on the back of Godwinn, but gets knocked off by Hog ramming him into a corner, only for Foley to counter it into a running bulldog and an elbow drop. And Mankind starts pulling out his hair.
I love that Jerry Lawler still has to put in the digs. Unlike Clinton, Jake has always inhaled. Vince McMahon upset and says, we don't need to go there, but if only Jake's demons were marijuana.
Mankind continues by hitting a turnbuckle smash and a running knee to the head of Godwinn, followed by a guillotine leg drop across the bottom rope. Foley then pulls up the mats around ringside, tossing Hog to the floor where Mankind delivers a swinging neckbreaker.
And this is what this match needs, is a little bit more intensity and violence from Mankind that we haven't quite seen here in the WWF.
Yes.
This is this is WCW, ECW, Mick Foley move. He has not quite gotten he's unhinged, but this is a little bit further brutality-wise than we've seen from him yet.
Back in the ring, Godwinn fires up with right hands, but a reversed whip allows Foley to hit a clothesline into a corner. And Mankind charges again, only for Hog to move in time, causing Foley to hit his head on the ring post.
Posted.
Godwinn capitalizes with a lariat, and he goes to pick up Mankind, who just yanks Hog through the ropes to the floor. And Foley falls out, but Godwinn hits a shot to the gut and a press slam onto the exposed concrete.
Oh my! I mean, what a maneuver!
They head back into the ring, where Hog goes for the slop drop, only for Mankind to hold onto the ropes to block, followed by locking on the mandible claw for the submission and the win. Post-match, Foley looks confused before just sprinting his way to the back.
Yeah, it's not great, but also the last match was perfect.
Pretty damn good.
And I feel like nobody really cares about either of these things yet. But that's okay, because, we've seen a lot worse. Also I noticed this, I think I noticed it on the last show we watched with Mankind. His entrance song and exit song are different.
Two different
It's like
songs.
the opening and ending credits. And the second song has his exit song after a win has some Twin Peaks vibes.
Yes.
Which I obviously noticed as I'm a fan of David Lynch.
So Vince sends us to the Superstar line, where we see Brian Pillman with the BodyDonnas on one side, while Ray Rougeau is with the Guns and Sonny. And the loose cannon claims the Donnas are spouting sanctimonious garbage and wants them to admit their real motivations are hormones and TNA.
Yeah, it's weird that Pillman in the BodyDonnas is like the wildest. It's like this unhinged guy, and then these guys that are like, I don't know if they were supposed to be heels in the last match. They weren't, but like, who's the babyface and heel?
They said clearly they didn't need a manager. They just needed the fans.
Yeah, they don't have them. I hate that they don't have them, but they don't have them.
Pillman continues by saying the BodyDonnas are complaining about the double teaming, but jokes that they want to double team Sonny.
I mean, who knows what old Chris Candido and Sonny did behind closed doors.
And maybe in front of those doors, too.
Yeah. I'm going to guess that there was at least a double team or two happening at some point. Maybe with or without Chris.
Poor Chris.
But we go to our third match. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Wildman Marc Mero with Sable. And so the story behind this match was that Mero was mad that he had lost at King of the Ring, while Stone Cold was looking for payback for his busted lip. But that wasn't the only trouble that Wildman had gotten into lately, as Marlena was beginning to show interest in Sable, which would make her very uncomfortable.
Has Sable ever been comfortable in her life? She might be comfortable on her Brock farm, but she was never comfortable in wrestling. She just wanted the money.
Her Brock farm. I like that.
So the two men trade strikes, takedowns, holds, and pin attempts until Austin rolls to the floor to regroup once Mero gets the advantage. And we get split screen to see Marlena and the Usher on the AOL chat, while the Wildman comes off the apron with a double axe handle to the floor. Back in the ring, Mero hits a rolling prawn hold for a 2 count, the same move that busted Stone Cold's mouth the last time they met.
Callback.
And Austin's holding his mouth like it got hurt again. But it's a ruse, luring the Wildman in to poke his eyes and clothesline Mero out to the floor. Stone Cold then follows out to catapult the Wildman into a ring post before knocking him off the apron into the guardrail. Mero finally makes his way back into the ring, only for Austin to nail a second rope knee drop for a near fall, a back elbow, and starts to wear down the Wildman with a chin lock.
I love when Stone Cold heads to the floor, because there's cheers, but it's like a mix of cheers and boos. It's like everybody's already well aware that this guy is cool and is a badass, but he's still like working completely as a heel. Yeah, it's nice to see one of the biggest stars of modern times, move through his career.
Stone Cold goes for a guillotine body press, only for Mero to move when Austin would land with his knees on the ropes. So he goes right back to the attack, only for the Wildman to pick up Stone Cold and crotch him on the ropes. The two men fight over turnbuckle smashes before Austin goes for a powerbomb, only for the momentum to take them back towards the ropes to get entangled momentarily. But Mero is finally able to head scissors them both out to the floor. Marlena and the Usher have now arrived at ringside while this was happening, and they hand a letter to Lawler before just sticking around to watch the rest of the match. And the Wildman leaps off the apron with a somersault senton onto Stone Cold, followed by an apron moonsault as well. Now back in the ring, Mero keeps up the attack with a slingshot splash and mounted punches before attempting a super Frankensteiner, only for Austin to shove him onto the ropes to crotch himself. Stone Cold then tries for a stunner, but the Wildman blocks by holding onto the ropes, allowing Mero to deliver a slingshot leg drop for a 2 count. Now Austin retaliates with a clip to the knee before capitalizing with a stunner for the pin and the win. Post-match, Marlena has seen enough, so she leaves, with McMahon wondering if she was a distraction, even though I don't know if Mero ever looked at her during the match.
No, I don't know. I mean, Marc Mero was like extremely present. This match is great. Like, there are so many things we didn't talk about as far as just like character work and the smart, intelligent, and clean work of this match. The things that are teased and the things that get paid off just inside the 6-8 minutes that are here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody, I always, back up Marc, Mero, so I won't do it now, I guess, but we all know where I stand.
So Sable helps the ref walk the Wildman to the back, while Vince sees Bob Backlund campaigning in the crowd, which we're in Canada, so I don't really know how helpful that's going to be.
Well, I mean, Canada...
He's running for Prime Minister.
Yeah, that's true, but I mean, Canada was a big part of the WWF even back in the day when Backlund was on top post San Martino, and I mean, Backlund is the Benjamin Button, isn't he? Does he ever get older? He just really ages very well.
We then get a commercial for Monday Night Raw, where the Heartbreak Kid and Ahmed Johnson will face the Smoking Guns for the tag titles.
So who's taking the pin there?
Bart, probably.
Yeah, but then
Probably a disqualification.
I was gonna say, yeah, exactly. Probably a DQ, because are they gonna put the tag belts on Shawn and Ahmed? Feels like a weird choice.
The BodyDonnas are gonna get involved.
Why not?
Fun fact of the night: this is the only pay-per-view that Stone Cold would ever have a logo on his trunks.
I know. I noticed that the trunks were cool and interesting, and I was like, oh, they're not just black trunks. And what was the logo exactly? I'm trying to remember.
It's his name.
It's just his name, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it just said Stone Cold, right?
Can't remember if it said Stone Cold or if it said Steve Austin, but
I think it said Stone Cold.
I think it said Stone Cold, yeah.
yeah, it was
If I
just
remember correctly.
I think he had
black
some
trunks with a silver spot on them.
I think I mean, in WCW, I think he had some trunks.
Oh, yeah.
With stuff on them.
Yeah.
You had the little SA. I love that old tag team stuff where it's like, oh, we have the same trunks, but we each have our own initials on them.
Yeah.
Classy look.
So we go to our fourth match: Goldust with Marlena and the Usher versus the Undertaker with Paul Bearer. And we get footage from In Your House, Beware of Dog, where Mankind would emerge from the casket to attack the dead man. And because that's the last time Goldust and Undertaker faced off against each other. And we see the Golden One is reluctant to enter the ring. But once he does, Goldust continues to use the ref as a shield. And the Golden One's finally ready. And he takes one shot before rolling to the floor to regroup. And Goldust drags Taker out of the ring, and the two men trade strikes when the Undertaker would chokeslam the Golden One onto the steel steps. The dead man would continue by slamming Goldust's head onto those steps before picking up the steel to throw them at the Golden One.
Oh my gosh. I love that JR can't help but put over both Texas boys.
Yes.
So hard. And Vince McMahon just keeps piping in that the Undertaker is the most phenomenal guy ever. Also, is this the first time, might be the only time we saw Stone Cold with not purely black trunks, but is this the first sleeveless Taker we've seen? Or am I crazy?
No, because when he started, he didn't really have sleeves.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess you're right. Yeah, he just had sleeves for a while.
Getting some ink. So,
yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, and I'm sure McMahon just had to be like, okay, well, I like this guy enough to let him show his tattoos.
He's a businessman.
He's supposed to be
dead. You gotta cover those up.
Dead men don't have tattoos. It's like, well, that's not really how that works.
As the Undertaker goes to throw the steel steps, Marlena jumps in front to protect Goldust. So back in the ring, Taker continues with right hands and chokes in a corner, which causes the ref to break it up, allowing Goldust to attempt to remove the turnbuckle pad. Undertaker with turnbuckle smashes, forearms across the back, clotheslines, and leg drops, before the Golden One would rake the eyes and whip the dead man to a corner. But Taker just responds with a choke toss, old school, and a body slam, only to then miss an elbow drop. Goldust would clothesline Undertaker out to the floor, only for him to land on his feet and drag the Golden One out as well, where they trade strikes once more, until coming back to the apron when the dead man would hotshot Goldust across the top rope. Now, the Golden One would crawl to a corner, and he would finally get the padding removed from that turnbuckle, before reversing a whip to send Taker into the exposed steel. Goldust would continue with stomps and falling fists, before tossing the Undertaker out to the floor, where the Golden One would grab the steps and drop them onto the dead man.
I feel like they're miking the steps now because the slam sounds so intense.
Back in the ring, Goldust continues to work the back with holds until Taker can fire up with right hands and a big boot. He goes for a tombstone, but the Golden One attempts to escape, so Undertaker just counters into a small package for a 2 count. The dead man then nails a jumping clothesline, delivers the tombstone, making the cover, only for Mankind to break through the mat, lock on the mandible claw, and drag Taker under the ring for the disqualification.
I mean,
How did he get under the ring?
He crawled up from the boiler room.
We saw him run away.
Post-match, smoke bellows up from the hole in the ring as Foley climbs out, and the lights would begin to flicker. Mankind would gaze under the ring, but he doesn't see the Undertaker, only for him to emerge from another opening in the mat behind Foley. And the two men would then brawl to the back.
He got under the ring during the Undertaker's entrance, guys, when the lights go out.
I'm sure that's probably what it was.
Yeah, just letting them know. Just letting the announcers know 30 years later.
Vincent sends us to a commercial for SummerSlam, and we get superstars competing in Olympic sports, such as Ahmed Johnson barreling through some hurdles, Austin chucking a shot put that nails the torchbearer, lighting him on fire.
Pretty funny stuff.
Followed by Shawn Michaels doing a high jump.
All checks out.
Vader, Triple H, and Goldust are on the metal podium when the Golden One would smack Hunter's ass, causing a brawl to break out.
Nice.
Dr. Strangelove himself.
We then come back to our commentators discussing the main event, when a fan would place a Burger King crown on Lawler's head, so he calls for security. And then everyone is interrupted by footage of Mankind and the Dead Man brawling in a boiler room, knocking out the cameraman in the melee, so all we really see is a black screen.
I mean, why? Yeah, why? Don't give him everything. Keep him intrigued.
Imagination goes a long way.
JR then sends us to a recap of our main feud, where we see the attack from the end of King of the Ring, where Camp Cornette would attack the Heartbreak Kid, bringing Ahmed and Ultimate Warrior out for help. Gorilla Monsoon would then suspend Warrior for failure to appear on house shows, which is technically part of the reason he was fired, followed by Camp Cornette attacking Ultimate Warrior on an episode of Superstars, knocking him out. Jim then learns of Warrior's replacement, Sycho Sid.
Oh, no.
With the best reaction.
Yeah. I mean, who does it better?
Before we see footage of Sid crashing his car to save his partners from an ambush in the back on Raw.
The most selfless thing Sycho Sid has ever done.
Doc Hendrick is then with the People's Posse, with Shawn comparing his crew to the Three Musketeers, followed by saying Camp Cornette brought a knife to this gunfight. Ahmed mumbles and shouts, so I couldn't really understand him, but I think he says, "Talk it the way he walks it."
Ah, okay.
Which is completely backwards. Before Sycho Sid tries to explain what Johnson meant, saying that 6 men enter, but only 3 will survive. And I was like, this is not Survivor Series.
Yeah, that's totally what he meant.
He's talking murder. This man's got a knife.
Sid then calls Michaels and Ahmed his friends.
Aww.
Followed by the Heartbreak Kid saying he wouldn't want to be Camp Cornette. Because what you gonna do when Master Sid gets a hold of you and Ahmed Johnson beats you around? What you gonna do, brother?
Fun little dig.
So we go to our 5th match. The People's Posse of the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, Ahmed Johnson, and Sycho Sid. with Jose Lothario versus Camp Cornette of Vader, British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith, and Owen Hart with Jim Cornette. So as Heartbreak Kid makes his way to the ring, fans rush the guardrail and knock it over. While when Sid enters, the commentators speculate if Shawn can trust him. Interesting. Ross also communicates to us that the Mounties had intervened in the brawl between Taker and Foley and had removed them from the building.
Win in Canada.
And Vader demands Shawn to start, where the two trade strikes, which isn't good for Michaels. But he responds with a Hurricanrana, a leaping clothesline, and a crossbody that sends them both to the floor, followed by the Heartbreak Kid jumping back in the ring to deliver a baseball slide and a slingshot plancha out onto the Mastodon.
JR says that Shawn Michaels has guts, and Jerry Lawler, of course, says, I've seen more guts on a skeleton, which is fun because Jerry Lawler does the same thing Heenan does, where he puts a little bit of truth behind the digs, but you don't really know it at the time. Like with his Jake stuff.
Shawn then tries for a double axe handle off the apron, only for Vader to avoid, sending Michaels into the guardrail. Back in the ring, the Mastodon with stiff shots in the corner, and he goes for a back suplex, only for Heartbreak Kid to float out and make the tag to Sid, who comes in with multiple clotheslines for everyone, sending them out to the floor. Now Owen makes the mistake of trying to attack from behind, which just infuriates Sycho Sid, so he nails another clothesline before bringing in Ahmed to hit several German suplexes.
And there's a big pop. People like Ahmed. People were stoked about Sid, and Sid's haymakers looked pretty great.
But Ahmed misses a leaping elbow drop, allowing Hart to tag the Bulldog to beat on Johnson momentarily. And Davey Boy gets his whip reversed, so Ahmed catches him with a spinebuster and a Pearl River plunge for the pin, and no, Vader makes the save.
Got lucky.
That would have been a quick 6-man match.
Yeah, I mean, but I feel like people got a little excited because you put over the finisher, and you've been putting over Ahmed Johnson.
The Mastodon and Ahmed trade right hands until Vader hits an avalanche splash in the corner, nails more stiff shots, and tries for another avalanche splash, only for Johnson to catch him and drop him with a power slam for a 2 count.
I mean, slamming Vader isn't nothing.
Owen makes his way back in with a spinning heel kick to Ahmed, but he's taken down by a press slam, allowing Sid to come back with a big boot and right hands to Hart. Now Psycho Sid tosses Owen to his own corner with a whip, allowing Bulldog to tag in, who delivers a stalling vertical suplex, followed by the Mastodon running in with an elbow drop on Sid for a near fall. Vader and Davey Boy continue with double team headbutts, and the Mastodon hits an avalanche press. Bulldog with headbutts and right hands that just seem to wake Psycho Sid up, where he nails a big right hand of his own before tagging in the Heartbreak Kid, who flies in with a double axe handle for a 2 count. We get a turnbuckle smash and a whip to a corner before charging in, but Davey Boy moves, sending Shawn shoulder first into the ring post.
I mean, like I said, I think they're miking these corners of the ring because that post sounds brutal.
And Bulldog tries to take advantage, but Michaels reverses a whip, sending Bulldog to the ropes, right into Vader, who goes flying off into the guardrail, while Davey Boy falls down, allowing the Heartbreak Kid to make a cover, only for Owen to try to break it up with an elbow drop, which Shawn moves in time, so Hart nails the Bulldog instead.
I mean, fun stuff.
Michael tosses Owen out of the ring, but Hart makes it back to the apron in time for Davey Boy to make a tag, only for the Heartbreak Kid to bring him in with a slingshot. Now Shawn telegraphs a back body drop, so Hart goes for a small package, which leads to the two men rolling around the ring, only for Owen to finally get a near fall.
That lucha rolling pin attempt.
Hart hits a crossbody, but the momentum leads to Michaels being on top for a 2 count, followed by another victory roll for a near fall, before Owen rolls back on top for a 2 count as well.
Hey, why can't we get a singles match between these guys?
The two men then go through some mat wrestling with bridging out of pin attempts until Hart nails a clothesline. And Bulldog returns to deliver a back body drop, a leg drop, and a power slam for a near fall. He goes for an elbow drop, only for the Heartbreak Kid to avoid.
I mean, we just can't be jumping on top of Shawn Michaels when he's on the mat. He obviously, has like the senses of Matt Murdock Daredevil. He just never takes it.
Shawn starts running the ropes, only for Owen to clock him in the back with his cast, allowing Davey Boy to hit a clothesline and tag in the Mastodon. And Michaels is whipped to the corner, causing him to do his flare flip to the floor, before being rolled back in for a short arm clothesline and a modified chicken wing by Vader.
Got him trapped.
Now a fan all of a sudden decides to try and jump in the ring, only for Bulldog and Ahmed to chase him off. Those are definitely two guys I would not want coming after me.
Absolutely. Yeah. I wouldn't fight the skeleton of Davey Boy Smith.
I thought you were going to say the skeleton of Shawn Michaels.
No. Wouldn't fight Shawn Michaels today, even with his lazy eye and cowboy hat.
The Heartbreak Kid would attempt to fire up, but an avalanche press and a splash stops that, when Johnson would come in with a clothesline to lay out the Mastodon. And Shawn would start crawling to his corner, but Davey Boy's tagged in to keep him from tagging, allowing Camp Cornette to continue working over Michaels with a Canadian backbreaker and a Samoan drop. Bulldog then charges into a corner, only for the Heartbreak Kid to move, causing Davey Boy to hit his head on the turnbuckles. But he's able to bring in Owen to stop the Posse tag once more.
Dagnabbit.
Doing a great job of cutting off the Heartbreak Kid.
Mm-hmm.
This is important.
Hart and Shawn then hit heads for a double KO, before Bulldog comes back for a running power slam to Shawn. He makes the cover, only for Sid to jump in the ring with a leg drop to break up the pin. Michaels makes the crawl to his corner, but a distraction by Cornette means the ref doesn't see a tag. So while Hebner works to get Johnson back out of the ring, Camp Cornette triple teams the Heartbreak Kid for a 2 count.
And this was an incredible hot tag that the ref not seeing it and it being completely done perfectly visually adds to when the hot tag happens. I mean, that first match and this match have so much like Cornette in them that it's like, oh well, it's technically correct. Unfortunately, the first match nobody's over, and in this match everybody's over. So yeah, here you get the response that it deserves, that it should get, but you can't just do it with like Joe, Jack, and Jim. You need real people.
Or Bart, Billy, Skip, and Zip.
Yes. Sonny's her own monster.
Yes.
Davey Boy is holding Shawn for Owen to fly in off the top rope. But Michaels moves, causing Bulldog to take the missile dropkick, allowing the Heartbreak Kid to make the crawl for the hot tag. Sycho Sid cleans house with choke slams to everybody, followed by teaming up with Ahmed for a double team clothesline to Vader, and then rocket launching Shawn onto him for the pin. And no, Davey Boy makes the save.
I mean, what a great spot. Sid in, ducks the clothesline, lays everybody out. That's what a hot tag should always be. Power, duck a move and then power moves into a hot spot. And it's done incredibly well here.
Ahmed starts brawling with Bulldog on the floor when Hart would leap off the apron with a double axe handle, only for Sid to join the fray while Michaels has grabbed hold of Corny inside the ring. And Jim has tossed the Mastodon his racket to use, but the Heartbreak Kid turns in time to knock it away before grabbing the tennis racket himself to use over the head of Vader, making the cover for the pin, and no, the Mastodon kicks out.
And it's time to tune up the band.
Only for Cornette to grab his boot, allowing Vader to nail an avalanche splash in the corner, followed by a Vader bomb for the pin and the win. Post-match, as Camp Cornette celebrates in the ring, Johnson and Sycho Sid attack, with Sid powerbombing Davey Boy and Owen. Sycho Sid then tries one on the Mastodon, but Camp Cornette is able to pull him out of the ring, where Michaels leaps over the ropes with a tope con hilo onto Vader before throwing fists that sends Camp Cornette retreating to the back. The People's Posse then pose in the ring, with the Heartbreak Kid selling the ribs from the Vader bomb.
So I love that the heels win and are still chasing the back. So it's just like the obvious thing to do, because this has not been a heel territory or a heel company basically it's never been a heel territory. So you can't rub it in their faces.
Yeah.
We go to the back, and Doc Hendricks is there with President Gorilla Monsoon for an in-your-house extra. And Gorilla says that Mankind and the Undertaker are out of control. So he's putting them in a boiler room brawl at SummerSlam.
So funny, too, that they kind of initiate the boiler room and then are like, oh, and now that the show is over, we will see another fight in the boiler room.
It's going to start there next time.
Because I don't think has there been the boiler... I guess they may have done the boiler room
This
promos
will be the
yet.
first one.
So this is pre-George the Rat.
George the Rat.
Oh, the famous boiler room promo with Mankind. He has a pet rat, and
that's before that.
the rat is actually Jim Cornette's pet rat. Because what would be in a boiler room? And the pet's rat's name was George.
Okay.
And he produced the vignette.
So the Mastodon and Corny interrupt, with Jim demanding a title shot for Vader, but doesn't let Monsoon answer, just saying that the prophecy is coming true, and that Camp Cornette won, and he couldn't be happier. And not poor.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't be happier either. I really didn't think that it would happen.
I'd be happy if I didn't lose $7 to $10 million.
Yeah, absolutely.
We then go to a highlight reel from the evening before fading to black. So I ask you, gentlemen, what are your overall thoughts of In Your House 9 International Incident?
Didn't think a pay-per-view, even if it's in your house, that leads, or where the main event is a 6-man, could be a good thing. But this match was fucking hot as hell. The crowd super into it. Everybody in the ring was over that night. Ahmed Johnson probably not getting that kind of big, he's probably on the B house shows, and people are not hanging on everything that he does. But here, with this group of people, and the match laid out the way it is, everybody hung on every move in the match, which is impressive for a 6-man match. And there was a lot of great spots, but they didn't overdo the physical stuff, and everybody took the time to register what was happening and milk it for what it was. And it's a great 3 people to have against each other, because everybody's has a foil in size and ability. Davey Boy, Ahmed, Vader, Sid, Owen, Shawn. It's one of those singles matches is great. The other single matches that aren't Owen and Shawn could be good or could be great, but they're not guaranteed. But here, where everybody's playing off of each other, you can really get a better result.
Yeah.
See?
And the heels should have won, and they did. And Shawn took the pin, which is awesome.
And he took a pin in Canada.
Yep.
Something for the Canadians after he beat their
I know. I've got another thing to say, but I'll save it for the next question.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Kind of along the same lines. Maybe not so many words, but yeah, good show. Better than expected it to be. They had some storyline movement. They, carried on from what we saw on their last show with the whole Stone Cold and Mero. That's his name.
And that was
not Johnny.
That was an accident that they capitalized on and
Absolutely.
I recognized the spot. The crowd recognized the spot, and it like meant something, and they didn't have to say anything.
Yep.
It was just like, oh, and this we're talking about Marc Mero and Stone Cold Steve Austin, two people that are established talent from another company that are essentially, they're still new here.
Mm-hmm.
And people are into it. And Stone Cold does things and gets a smattering of cheers and boos, and Marc Mero does things and gets a smattering of cheers and boos, which is incredibly interesting. Like, nobody agrees on either guy, which is super cool. So, I mean, obviously Stone Cold is the more talented one, but
I mean,
my heart still.
People that are booing for Stone Cold and cheering for Mero are doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yes, but Stone Cold is so undeniable.
Exactly.
And Mero is great, but he doesn't. I think it's kind of like with like DDP is a great heel, but he's not. He doesn't have the like badass charisma that Stone Cold has, where you're just like, I want to hang out with that guy. He's more hateable, and Stone Cold is just it's like, yeah, I would definitely want to drink a beer with that guy.
Yeah,
and he's not even smashing beers in the ring yet.
I mean, we're all on the same page. Literally, other than like I'm gonna say mediocre opening, because like you said earlier, it's a technically sound match.
I love the tag match,
but no one cares about any of the action that's happening in the ring,
which bums me out because like I think this is a better tag match than I see on a regular basis, be it in any of the current three companies that I check in with. Like, I think that this is like incredible quality and psychology. It just stinks that they didn't take the time to get any of these people over.
But everything else I think was super entertaining, and I'm going to say this is the most fun 6-man tag that WWF has ever put on.
Easily. Hands down.
And everything on this show sets up SummerSlam, which is the next pay-per-view.
I think the weakest link on this show is the Mankind Henry Godwinn match, and I don't know, it would have been, the crowd would have been hotter if it was Jake.
Yeah.
But once Mankind pops out in the Undertaker match, that match doesn't matter. You don't think about it anymore, and it didn't overstay its welcome, and it had some like brutal spots. We all know
it was a match
put himself over.
It was a match to show Mankind's vicious side a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Against a bigger opponent.
It's a setup match, and I think it would have probably been laid out basically the same with Jake, except there would have been like a DDT tease instead of a slop drop tease or whatever.
Exactly.
And it probably would have made Mankind a little bit more of a heel. It would have pushed the anger towards him more because people love Jake. No matter where he goes and how long he falls out and comes back, the DDT chant, no matter where the show is, persists. It's kind of the same as
his blessing and his curse.
Paul Orndorff in like the mid '80s was Paula, but he was also Paula a couple of years ago in WCW. Yep. Like it just stuck around in everybody's mind. Nobody could forget it.
Good. Where's the smart marks at? All right, fuck you.
I think it's time we smark it up. So what are some of the best moments of this show?
That 6-man tag is so good. That 6-man tag,
it's laid out perfectly.
It's laid out perfectly, absolutely perfectly, and like nobody has any missteps. Everybody's comfortable because they have people that have been around. Like Ahmed Johnson is the guy that's wrestled the least. Sid is the least talented, but he's been around for a long time. And then you have Owen, Davey Boy, Vader, Cornette, who obviously is a huge part of this, Shawn Michaels, and it's like, nobody gets lost at all. It's just it's like clockwork. Really incredible stuff. And also, Goldust's heel work, very good. This is like his match with The Undertaker is the good version of the way he acted with Ultimate Warrior recently.
I do feel like Goldust has started doing more of the Memphis style of heel, where he stalls
It is.
Probably a little too much.
Yes.
A little too much, but
I mean, it works
character-wise, but it can be tiresome.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was a little less tiresome here because it's the Undertaker who's like scary.
Yeah.
And the Ultimate Warrior should be scary, but at this point, the Ultimate Warrior coming back, like nobody really gave a shit anymore.
Ultimate Warrior was scary.
I mean, he's huge.
I mean,
he's much bigger man.
I mean, I'd be scared to take a clothesline from him because the dude doesn't know how to work. But...
Yeah, because he might collapse your trachea.
The Pillman hotline.
Yeah, that was a fun
there.
moment. Yeah.
It was great. Yeah.
I like the money back guarantee because,
Yes.
like, literally, I'm sitting there. I was like, okay, you're playing us, and then like
They pull it out.
and then I like in my head I'm just like, oh well, they'll get out of it somehow. Not everything that they'll get out of it because the heels are going to win.
Yeah, and also Shawn took the pin.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't pin Ahmed Johnson, and they didn't pin Sid.
And like I said, it
It
perfectly
was
sets
perfectly
up,
done.
Sets
And, like,
up the next pay per view.
Shawn doesn't lose anything from this pin either because
No.
it's done perfectly.
It's, I mean, you know, I try not to hate on Hogan all the time, but this is the kind of match
It allows you to
that
stay on
Hogan
top.
could have taken a pin in at any of those times,
And it would have made the game bigger.
and it just would have built up the heel more for that singles match. But he was he'd always just be like, "I'm not taking the pin, brother."
Yeah, well, they built up a big guy for years and years and years, and then Hogan beat him in the same match every time. Be it fucking One Man Gang, be it fucking Boss Man, be it
Vader,
be it
Andre.
what's his goddamn name? King Kong Bundy.
Yeah.
Like it's like all these guys,
Earthquake.
and it's like you never thought that they would win because nobody really, they were just large. They didn't actually do heel work and weren't asked to do heel work even.
Nope. So yeah, Michael's definitely taking the pin. Chef's kiss.
I mean, just
Absolutely.
WWF in general making the pivots that they did when they had to suddenly replace Warrior and Jake and still put on an entertaining show that here we are talking about and enjoying ourselves 27 years later after it's happened.
Yeah, like how nobody brings up In Your House 9, but I think In Your House 9 is absolutely like required watching.
I mean, this might be up there for me, like one of the best WWF shows we've watched.
It's so, I mean, WWF does a thing that I couldn't appreciate more, where they do the intro and it's like under 2 minutes, and then they go straight to the first match every time. There's no talking in the ring. There's no like slow intros. There's not any hullabaloo. It's like, and now he's like, we just previewed the matches and straight to the ring, and like that makes a huge difference because they only have 2 hours, and it seems like these In Your House shows, they really get the most out of the 2 hours they can at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that all the In Your House shows are great, but they don't always have great things bubbling, and sometimes you just have to get through a thing to get to the next thing. Forgetting about stuff should be on the viewer and not on the promotion. The promotion should still see it through and be working towards a thing that will be remembered, as opposed to forgetting it and moving on. Because when they start to forget about things, then you forget to continue to watch.
How about most disappointing?
I guess Jake not being on the show, but like I said, it doesn't really matter.
I mean, that's disappointing for life choices more than just him not being on the show.
The other disappointment, of course, is that the Gunns have been start and stop for so long, so nobody cares. Sunny's hotter than the fucking surface of the sun, so she's over as hell. And then the BodyDonnas, like, they kind of made their technically...
Once Sunny was gone from them, no one cared about them either.
Yeah, and they didn't care. They're technically great wrestlers, but they're not great characters.
I mean,
and this is a character-based company.
Chris Candido and Dr. Tom Pritchard,
incredible.
They're incredibly talented wrestlers.
Dr. Tom Pritchard, probably the best American wrestling trainer in recent history.
But
he's
absolutely no one gives a shit about him.
No, I mean I love them dearly, but that's because
Zip.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Zip,
I
zip.
I skip their matches most days.
Yeah.
Disappointing for me, they went back to the people coming out of the mat this quickly. Because, literally, Undertaker coming out during the Kevin Nash match was literally 3 months ago, 4 months ago, something like that.
But I feel like the Mankind...
And they went and did it twice in the same show.
Same
match.
And then also, because of that, and since it wasn't the main event, this is the kind of angle that you usually would run in the main event, because the time between the end of that match and the time the six-man match happens, even though the recap stuff was fine, but they had to change out the entire ring setup, canvas and everything. So it took it a little bit long. They probably could have given some of these matches a couple extra minutes in places. Not saying that any of them needed it, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That is one of those things that's kind of I get it, but did you need to do that angle to get to the brawl to the back into the boiler room? I think you could have done it many different other ways.
You probably could have. I did like it because it was almost surprising that they did it so quickly. And then also, you set up the boiler room or whatever, but Shawn Michaels taking the pin should be the last match.
Oh, me. I'm totally...
Just you're saying the way that they did do it.
The way they did it, that's the kind of thing that usually is the last match because of the time it takes to reset the canvas.
Yeah.
That they don't ever put those kind of things at the beginning, in the middle of the show or anything.
It's like when you had the old style of cage where, the big blue
thing it took them 10 minutes to set the cage
down, putting that
That's
in
the reason why
they
didn't do cage matches all the time. Now they just lower it, and it could be done in 3 seconds, and you're like, okay, cool, we'll just do 17 cage matches this week.
And we all know that the entrances are going to be longer than the match anyway.
Yes. Think of...
It's not a very
moves-wise disappointment. The only thing that stands out to me was, and it's just nitpicking, but Sid, when he did his little Hogan kicks before doing the power bombs on Owen and Bulldog, they were some of the weakest... I can barely lift my leg moments I've seen in a ring.
But his haymakers were great. Yeah. I feel like this is some of the best suit we've seen in a long time because they used him really well. Mm-hmm. Honestly, biggest disappointment, we're in Canada and Bret Hart's not here. I was like, wait, Bret Hart's on this show, right? And I'm like, fuck, Bret Hart's not on this show.
Not since Mania.
And maybe he's injured. Maybe he need to go away. So it's a big deal.
He signed a new contract because he was about to be the third man.
But... it's weird for him not to be here. Very bizarre.
I got a couple more things. Billy missing the leap over Bart on the guillotine body press, which I was just like, what are you doing? You do this move all the time. How do we just miss this one?
He partied too hard in Canada the night before.
The Marlena Sable storyline. I can tell you guys right now, this is probably the last time we'll see anything about this storyline because Sable was very uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
And so they
just
kind of drop it. But I mean, I don't even know if Goldust and Mero become a feud at all. Because I think that's basically where they were headed towards.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Those two things,
if they don't, then...
Because the whole Marlena coming out during that match made no difference. And if I hadn't read up about the angle, her showing up just would have been like, huh? What's going on? Because even commentary really doesn't do a good job of selling that Marlena had been after Sable.
Yeah, I think that the answer is this is the beginning of something that somebody wouldn't agree to continue doing, that being Sable, but also they're finally putting over hot chicks. And Sunny, super over. Sable, new and getting over with all the help in the world from Vince McMahon. And then, Marlena, who, has been around for a long time.
Marlena. She's married to a Rhodes, so they couldn't really push her.
But, yeah, that's funny. But, she's been around forever. Like, we love, what is it called? What's the thing where she did the computer?
Alexander York.
Yeah, the
York
Alexander
Foundation.
York Foundation. Love the York Foundation.
Yeah.
What a fun gimmick.
How about best performer of the night?
That's tough.
I think it has to be Shawn.
I mean, he took the pin and he gave it his all.
I mean, he was the
he was the hot tag.
he was the Ricky Morton.
Yeah, he was. He was the sexiest Ricky Morton on the planet. I love Ricky Morton with all
Psycho
my
Sid
heart.
brought it though. So I
think Psycho
this is
Sid
probably
is-
my favorite Psycho Sid match I've ever seen.
Easily, he looks like he's happy to be wrestling, and he looks comfortable. And I think it has to do with all the people he's surrounded by, people that he knows, and people that he's worked with in the past and been in the locker room with before, and like he knows, what to do. They told him what to do, and he did it incredibly well, with the exception of the kicks.
And he didn't have to take a pin.
And that's it.
How about most surprising?
Oh, I thought that's what we just did. Sid not sucking. Shawn Michaels taking the pin. I figured maybe they would pin Owen. Ahmed is the Intercontinental Champion at the moment. It would be weird to pin him here, but it would set up a feud or a singles match. But that's not typically how WWF does that. That's like a New Japan way of setting up a match.
Here's one for you. There were no titles on this card.
And you know what?
True.
Because they didn't put the tag titles on the line.
Yeah.
And the IC and the heavyweight were in the 6-man.
And that's proof. The proof is in the pudding. They didn't need any titles on the line because they worked a good show with results.
Diana Hart Smith supposedly was at the show, and she was not shown on camera at all.
Yeah, she didn't need to be a part of this. It would have been distracting, and I like Diana.
I couldn't think of anything surprising, so that was the first thing that popped into my head.
Yeah.
Because, I mean...
Yeah, we
I
can't
knew
be like,
Warrior,
it's so surprising that
I knew
that
Warrior
Jake's
was
not
leaving
here.
soon. I guess maybe I didn't remember that Sid came back already. But yeah, there's nothing too surprising on this one.
Like the surprises are all like good surprises. Like they're all very like, oh, I didn't necessarily expect Sid to like ruin a match because there's too much good talent in there, but I also didn't expect him to be
A standout.
as good as he was or as into it. It's like he obviously cared.
Mm-hmm.
And if he didn't, then he did an incredible acting job. But at this point, he kind of has to give it his all because he's burned some bridges.
Making their way to the ring.
It's trivia time.
What do we got this week?
This week, the category is pay-per-feud.
We're back and it's time to play the feud. Let's have it. Shawn.
So I will give you the matches from a show. You tell me the show. Points are determined by which match you get. So 5 points the first one, 1 point if we get to the final match. All right, so the shows are from 1993 to 1994. That's your options. So the first match I'm going to give you, Tatanka versus Bam Bam Bigelow with Luna Vachon for 5 points. Does anyone know what show that's from?
Can't say that I do. I assume this is before Tatanka, like after Tatanka has already taken a pin. But you may continue. Shane,
Yeah.
he's better at this than I am.
Okay, for 4 points, the Quebecers of Jacques and Pierre with Johnny Polo versus the Hart Brothers of Brett and Owen for the WWF Tag Team Championships.
Damn, this feels like it was so long ago.
Shane.
We're going to go for... We are going for Royal Rumble 1994.
And 4 points for Shane.
Oh my gosh! I was like, it can't be 94. It can't be 94. I would have had to have assumed it was 93. Whatever my guess would have been, it would have been in 1993. Incredible memory.
The other couple matches that still left were Erwin R. Shyster versus Razor Ramon for the WWF Intercontinental Championship. Yokozuna with Mr. Fuji and Jim Cornette versus The Undertaker with Paul Bearer for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship.
Featuring Marty Jannetty.
Hit him with the drop kick, Marty Jannetty.
And then, of course, the main event would have been the Royal Rumble match.
And who won the Royal Rumble this year?
94 was that the Brett Lex year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, my guess would have been Brett or Shawn, I guess.
Shawn's 95 and 96.
Yeah.
Yep. And don't even get me started on 97, 98.
Next week, we're headed back to Philly for The Doctor is In.
Which doctor?
Doctor.
Calling Dr. Love, Dr.
Yeah.
Strangelove, Dr. Feelgood,
Might be.
Dr. Tom Pritchard,
Keep going.
Dr. Isaac Yankum,
No, not quite there.
Dr. Death, Steve Williams.
Oh no.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yay.
Ah.
It's going to be my favorite show, isn't it?
Plus, there's a stretcher match.
A stretcher?
A stretcher match.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that I haven't seen the, good Dr. Death stuff, but I know Death and Gordy were huge back in the day, and the stuff we covered never really impressed me.
I don't know if we're ever going to see the good
Well,
Dr.
not
Death
at
stuff.
this point, but supposedly it was a thing where those guys were a thing.
Yeah.
Didn't
But-
the BodyDonnas need a flip or something like that? I guess there's still time.
So music from this week's show is the opening from International Incident, and Vader made the pin, so we play his music, Mastodon, version 2, by Jim Johnston.
Can you hear the Mastodon coming?
I'm hearing elephant noises in my head. I don't know if that's close. Exactly.
Yeah.
I wasn't even going to attempt it.
If you like this episode or any of our other ones, please go out there, rate and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify.
Spotify.
Can you rate on Spotify?
Maybe not. I
I
don't know.
have no clue.
Me neither. I use Spotify a lot, but I keep my podcast separate.
I've never used Spotify, but I guess maybe now that I can be heard on Spotify, I should give Spotify a try.
I mean, I'm a huge music fan, so it feels pretty essential to me, but I keep my podcast separate because you can have, it's just a different way of doing
You
it.
don't shit where you eat, huh?
Don't shit where I eat.
Or wherever else you find your podcast at, do as Michael says.
5 stars or no stars, come on.
And if you have any questions, comments, concerns,
People, we're going back to Philly, and Philly has become the bane of my existence when it comes to picking items. I mean, granted, they have gotten more fun and easier to come up with because I've stopped looking in the actual Philly area. But
I love your, just a guy on the match.
I almost guarantee there's probably a
Death thing.
Death drink.
Yeah.
I will do
sounds
nothing
scary.
to celebrate Dr. Death until I know for sure it is the final time Dr. Death will be appearing on any shows.
So
that we are
you
going to
have
be
until
covering.
the Brawl for All.
Well, it's still got a couple more years.
Yeah, you got the Brawl for All.
But yeah,
Is it
if you
Steve Blackman that beat him?
live in Philly, have been to Philly, know somebody in Philly, know what they eat or drink or whatever in Philly,
Yeah.
shoot me some ideas, because I don't want to make something Dr. Death
If
related.
only Damon McDonald had a Twitter.
Who?
The host of my favorite wrestling podcast. And he's from Philadelphia. That being the Super J Cast.
Does he have an Instagram or anything?
No, he knows social
He
media.
hates social media.
Oh,
Yeah.
that
he's
guy
he's a fragile man, but very
definitely is a Damon.
Every once in a while he's in the Discord.
Yeah.
Very occasionally.
Yeah, but send us some ideas. We're going to Philly, as always. So yeah, tell me stuff.
As always.
And if you have any of those ideas, email us at wrestlinghistoryx@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at WrestlingHistoX. That's Wrestling HISTO.
X.
We'll talk to you next week.
Laters.
Oh,
Or however it is.
a much better elephant. I got a little squeak.